Let me do this first for real quick. Let me put this thing up on the screen here and look at number 8.
Okay, just number 8. Oh my God.
That
Terrible
I
handwriting. Look at
that
that.
I believe is the very first sign-up sheet for your very first open mic on your very first stage.
Oh, really?
I
Oh my
believe that's what
God.
that is.
Dude, Chris Delmhorst and Rob.
Uh-huh. Isn't
Oh
that something?
my God. Isn't that funny?
It sure is. Folks, Laurie McKenna is joining us here right about now, and we have been at least 20 years since we've had a chance to say hi. So, wow, what a cool thing.
So it's the coolest thing ever. And you know what? I wish I was better at keeping track of every moment back then, because even just hearing whenever I see your name or hear your name or think of the coffee house, it's like I know it was stuff I just didn't know. I just didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea.
I mean, we hear a lot of folks like once every 10 years someone would come through, or once every 5 or 6 years, and you go, wow, that person's got something. There's something to watch there. And you were one of the very few that kind of fit that bill. And there were three of us in the sound booth. And when you played your first notes, that was cool. But then you had the first syllables come out of your mouth, and we all just kind of like dropped our jaws and looked at each other and said, "Oh my, what is this?"
Are you sure all three of you thought that, or just you thought?
No, no. There was, you've heard it. You have such a unique voice. And once you get past all of that and your great songwriting, there's the hit that the lyrics are.
Yeah. Well, I figured out a million years later that my voice is sad, and that's why the words are sad.
I've just been rereading something that I found not too long ago. It's that Boston Globe. I'll put it up on screen. That Scott Hellman wrote back in 2012, and it was what a well-written piece that was in the Boston Globe magazine. And even then, that was 6, 7, 8 years into your career, and all that's happened since.
Yeah, that Scott Hellman was in the room with me. He followed me around for like 3 days in Nashville, and he was in the room with me the day that I wrote the first song I ever wrote with Little Big Town.
Yeah.
And it was Scott Hellman, me, and Little Big Town, and we were just meeting each other. And he sat there just so beautifully quiet, and we wrote a song called Your Side of the Bed, and that started my relationship with Little Big Town. And I was writing for Universal, which is my second publisher.
Yeah.
But I still, I've never moved to Nashville, so I'm always going back and forth. I'm always sort of a stranger in a strange land a little bit. And it was so that, over and over again, I've had these full circle moments where I always just explain it as my camp friends meet my high school friend, my school friends, like my Boston people meet my Nashville people. And it's always the greatest thing when the two worlds collide. So
It's kind of funny where right now you can name the people that you associate with and that you write for by their first names and recognition. I mean, it's Faith, it's Reba, it's Carrie, it's Winona, it's Taylor. Again, you have a long running relationship with Taylor. I hadn't read that until recently, how far back you guys go together.
I mean, I know Taylor from the beginning of that side of her career because she was writing with Liz Rose, who's one of my best friends. And I was, they were writing after math class. That was what they were doing, and knew her first producer, and do know him quite well. And yeah, it's been crazy. It's been a crazy ride, and it always has been. And Robert, I just have to say that I don't know if I ever would have left my kitchen if not for you. I swear to this day that is still so true. I mean, it could be that there was another Robert Haigh down the road, but there wasn't one in that moment until there was you. And the reason I went to the old Vienna Kaffeehaus was because I knew that that was a place where, first of all, national touring artists were coming by there, to do their shows, but they were also featuring at the open mic. So I knew that the open mic was important. Well, my brother told me it was important because of that.
Right.
And my sister-in-law Andrea famously like threw me in her minivan and said, "You're going." And we're walking up those stairs. I don't care how scared you are, you know? And when I think of the coffee house, I think of how much first of all, I think of how much I was standing around that I didn't understand the greatness of, all the people. When I look at old pictures, all the people that were always standing in that room, yourself included, that are just incredible artists and craftsmen and women. And but I also think that I think of the staircase, because it was so, as hard as it was going up it, I don't know if you remember this, the first time I was there, you followed me down. And I turned around and you were standing there and you said you should come back. And
I
if you didn't
remember.
say that to me, I don't know. I might be working at Target. I don't know.
I got busy for a minute and I turned around and I didn't see your group, your family wasn't there anymore. I said, wait a minute, where'd she go? They said, oh, she just went downstairs. And I ran down. I think I caught you literally as the car was pulling out of the drive from the front of the building. And I just said, look, I don't know if you know what just happened up there, but there was something that you got to come back and play, please.
And I came back a month later and I figured you wouldn't remember me. And you said, oh, there you are.
I did. That's something, man. So, so the old Vienna's having this little gathering and this little get together, and it's bringing together, we hope, a lot of the folks that you've crossed paths with from that very stage. Do you have any remembrances of the old Vienna, like back in the green room, or folks that you've met that have become really lasting relationships?
I mean, that's why when you just showed that list, I can't believe Chris is on there, Chris Delmore. I wouldn't have known, certainly at the time. But aside from the fact that I'm 2 years older than her, we share a birthday and we also share so many things. I don't remember a lot of, I think that I don't remember a lot of the green room experiences or the waiting side stage until it was your turn to go on experiences, because I was literally petrified. That first night, I remember I sang something about smiling. If I could see you smile, and I forget what else I would have played, but I know that we have a cassette of it, and I am like literally, my teeth are chattering. I'm so scared, and I knew I was so out of my league, and I knew it, but maybe I'm comfortable being out of my league. I don't know. It might be because I'm the youngest of 6 kids. I have no idea, but I was like dumb enough to try it. You know what I mean? Like literally. And the fact that anybody saw anything in me then is remarkable in itself. But I think that that's where I learned that this community, and I think that's true to this day, this community that we have here, I don't know if there's another one even close to the nurturing environment of it, the loving environment. I have no competition in me at all, like none. And I don't want to compete with anybody. I don't want to make anybody upset by me being around. And I will just go in the next room. And if the community wasn't as loving and nurturing as it was, somebody above you was always going to turn around and say, do you need a capo? What is that? Do you have a and I found those people there, like Chris was, all these people, they're always several steps ahead of me. Mary Gaucher was always just out of reach, but she was turning around to like give me her fingers. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's, get up here. What are you doing back there?
Mary Gaucher played a real big part in getting you in front of the ears of some great folks. Tell us that story.
Yeah, so Mary and I met Mary at open mics. I would show up and put my name on the list, and she would be the feature. And now, although, especially with Old Vienna, every age group was in that room. I mean, every age group was in that room. There was other environments where it wasn't really that way, and it would mostly be young people, and then it would be me and Mary. And we kind of both always stuck out like sore thumbs, because I was probably 10 years older than all these kids coming up. And Mary's a couple of years above me, and the two of us would just sort of stick out like sore thumbs, and maybe in that way kind of stick together. But she always was ahead of me and moved to Nashville and gave my record Bittertown, which I never would have made if not for Seth Conley and you telling me save some money and work with this guy and make a record. And I made a record called Bitter Town, and Mary brought it to a publisher in Nashville. And she gave the publisher, Melanie Howard, gave it to Faith Hill, and I got a bunch of Faith Hill cuts and a publishing deal and a record deal.
This is Paper Wings and Halo before it actually became the master. So things you keep, I guess, but man, fun stuff. I got to tell you a fun story. In 2006, I got married to a wonderful Mary Ellen, and she and I went on a honeymoon cruise, and we came back to Tampa from where the cruise left, and it was 2006, and just turned on the TV while waiting to do something, whatever we were going to do that night. And it just so happened that the CMA Awards were on that night. And I'm looking and I'm like, well, that's Faith Hill. Is that Lori? Oh my God, she's on stage with Faith Hill on the CMAs. Crazy.
So crazy. It's pure wildness. It's just like everything that happened. And the way I always explain it, because I have more confidence now. I'm 55 years old. Like, God help me, but like, I never believed any of it. When you came down those stairs and said, you should come back, I'm like, that guy's gotta be crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I just never believed it, but something in me believed it enough to keep sticking my neck out. And then somebody always met me. Something always met me. And it's true to this day. I think, like, I have 2 kids that are songwriters, and I say, we wanted music in our lives. We write songs every day. So we are successful in music. And anything else, the business side of it and all those other things, that's the music business, and that is different. But if you can find a way that music is part of your life, as much as it is ours, we are successful in music. And there's just no way around it.
That's so cool to hear. I mean, I remember seeing the kids. I had the honor of sitting at that famous kitchen table of yours once, and seeing some of the kids running around at the time. So they're doing music and they're part of this?
2 of them are writers. My son, Brian, my oldest one, who you would have known the best. And he came with me to every gig I did for the first, 10 years practically. He's way better and more musical than I am. And then my 3rd oldest, Christopher, they both live in Nashville. Chris has a publishing deal. Really? And they are, writing songs every day and living the dream. So
congratulations. That's wonderful. That's really rich. That's just something.
Yeah. And they came up, Brian and Chris were in a band called Teen Ender for years in Boston. And I watched this community, the community here. I know the Nashville community, and I know this community, and the community here to this day, from what I can tell, and, just sitting in rooms, that try to be as cool as Passim and Vienna, or get close. These beautiful rooms that people like yourself and the people that run those rooms and make the energy in those rooms. It's a beautiful community, a beautiful community.
It really is. And I think that special time of our history in the New England area between 84, 83 and the turn of the century was just so welcoming and rich, and there were places for people to play and publications and writers that supported it, and it was just a really magical time. And I think it's almost starting to turn again. It's cyclical after, we're looking at our children like you're talking about now coming back up, and again there's the vibrancy in the community again.
Yeah, that's good to hear that because there's so much of this job. There's so much in writing songs and then presenting them to an audience to see if they're okay. There's so much to that's lonely in that way. Oh, look at that.
This was a Christmas present of mine this year.
I love it. I love it.
You've become a part of the American lexicon, for goodness sakes. That is a saying. You are now able to be purchased at Hobby Lobbies and craft fairs around the country. And then
thankfully so. Hey, this is Lori McKenna, and I'm here talking to Robert about the old Vienna Kaffeehaus. I hope you join us for the concert August 17th in Hopkinton, and all the information is below.
Says if I be